Today is November 1st, and since it's a new month, I decided to start my breed studies on the very 1st of November because I've been falling behind. At the beginning of the year, I said that by the end of the year, I would have 12 beautiful different sheep breeds spun up into skeins. We are now November, and I'm only at 8 out of the 12. So not too bad, but not what I expected at all. So let's hop right into it. Just as a little refresher, the Breed of the Month fiber study is a fiber study from Longway Homestead. For 12 months, you get wool in the mail, either skeined or the raw wool to spin it yourself. It's 4 ounces of roving prepped by the farm. Every so often, apparently they do change depending what they have in stock and what they have that year. So the breed every year aren't the same, but some of them might. And you pay by month. You can stop and go whenever you want, but it's a 12-month kit. So at the end of 12 months, it auto unsubscribes and that's it. You're done your breed study. So this is the 8th episode of the Breed of the Month fiber study. I'm super excited to get so close to the finish line. My original goal was to have all of these done by the end of 2025, but we're now the 1st of November and I'm at 8 out of 12. Not too bad, but surprise, surprise, this month's wool is a brand new fiber to me. I hadn't heard of this wool before, and I feel like I should have maybe have heard about it just because of where I am. This month's wool is Rideau Arcott or Rideau Arcott, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Now, I feel I should have known or heard about this breed before because it is 100% Canadian bred. So it was discovered bred here, whereas, for example, last month's wool, the Wensleydale, was American, bred and conceptualized in America. But remember, I say bred and created in these countries, but it's always by bringing sheep and like breeding them, mixing them together to create a breed. So kind of, they're always all connected. This month's wool is this beautiful brown. I love getting different colored wool in this subscription. Most of them are white because most sheep do tend to be white. But whenever I have a beautiful colored gem, it just makes the month so much more exciting. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it's like a dark brown, but with some whiter gray little fluffs of hair in it. There's definitely a lot of texture and depth to this wool. This wool is a little bit, it's not the softest. It is known to be a medium wool. The government of Canada developed 3 breeds of sheep in the 70s and 80s: Canadian Arcott, Rideau Arcott, Outaouais Arcott. Arcott stands for Agriculture Research Center of Ottawa. The Rideau was developed using Finn sheep, Suffolk, Rockshire, Dorset, and East Frisian sheep, which is, did we spin East Frisian? We spun a Frisian. No, that was for another spin that I did. Okay, I'm getting confused. It was designed for their meat. So this is, again, another sheep that isn't really bred for its wool. People do spin with it. It does make beautiful wool and yarn, but the main use of farmers and why most farmers have them is for meat. Rideau wool is considered a variable wool. Some can be fine, long and lustrous, while others can be more fluffy and down-like. Rideau can be white, gray, brown, and even black. So the one I have is like brown, but almost black, but it is definitely like a very deep brown. It will be beautiful. Wearability of Rideau wool often depends on the specific animal or flock it comes from. The average staple length is 2.5 to 4 inches. The fiber diameters is 25 to 35 microns. The fleece weighs 5 to 7 pounds, so it's not that big of a fleece compared to some of the other fleeces we've seen so far. It has a tight, consistent crimp, tight looking formation, and some luster. So it's not completely matte. It is gonna have a little sheen, lustrous to it. I did also get my Source and Fiber source book. However, for this sheep, for some reason, we apparently don't really know much about it. This one just shared a page with all of the other Arcotts, for example, some of them from Norway or from Sweden. In Canada, there are 3 different Arcotts. Basically, all it states is that these sheep are bred, again, for their meat. The wool was definitely an afterthought. They can be described as being a medium wool. And then there's no other information available in the breed standards or other sources that they were able to locate when publishing this book. So this breed is just a little bit underknown, but I do assume that that is because this is, again, mainly a meat bred sheep and not one for spinning. Although it should be, because it's a Canadian breed, and I don't know, this wool seems beautiful. So maybe there is a reason why people don't use it so much for spinning. I guess we're gonna figure it out as I spin it up. Now this is what the wool kind of looks like, the pencil top prep. It's really bouncy and airy and fluffy. This definitely is most likely going to be a really squishy, fluffy yarn, and I want to use that to my best advantage. So I am considering making a 2-ply to let this one be even more bouncy. I just really want to see how fluffy this can be because it does stretch quite a lot. This wool isn't rustic, it's not itchy or rough. It's definitely not like the Shetland or it's definitely not like the Shetland or the Wensleydale. It is softer. I don't know, I'm really tempted to make a 2-ply out of this. Also, in the source book, most of the spin examples are 2-ply, and it does kind of look a little bit, not ropey, but it does kind of resemble a long wool. And long wool, from my past spins, I've learned that they work best as a 2-ply. So I think I'm going to be spinning this one as a 2-ply instead of the typical 3-ply that I like to do for this fiber study. I'm really, really intrigued by this wool and just kind of want to get to spinning. Looking at it, I know I said I was going to be making a 2-ply, but I'm kind of tempted to see, maybe we could just do a 3-ply ply back test. I just really don't want this to be stringy or ropey, but I want it to keep its fluffiness. How much is this? That's 30 grams. Okay, I need 51 grams for the perfect split. Actually, can I just keep wrapping you around? It has so much depth in it. Ah, can't wait. So I just split it up 50 and 50 grams. There. Perfect. This here is what the wool kind of looks like. It is very, very dark, but I don't know, it's really nice. I'm honestly really surprised by how lovely and nice this feels. Okay. Oh my, maybe I will do a 3-ply. I don't know if I can show you guys how much bounce there is in this yarn, but they're pretty bouncy and like really light. Like this isn't a dense yarn at all. As an example, this here is the 2-ply. This is what it looks like. It's pretty nice, a really airy, lofty yarn. And then this here is the 3-ply. This is literally the same spin. I just wrapped it up one more time. Do you see how much thicker the 3-ply is compared to the 2-ply? I know I said I would do a 2-ply, but now I'm tempted to make a 3-ply just for the fun of it. Just because this is insane. You can barely tell the wraps. Like they blend in because of how fuzzy the yarn is, even in the 2-ply. So the 2-ply gives me about a 9 wraps per inch, whereas the 3-ply is, it's too big for 8. Yeah, I would say it's a 7. What is a 7? Is that like a bulky weight? I have a worsted weight for 2-ply and a bulky weight for the 3-ply. That's kind of crazy. This is definitely going to be the thickest yarn I've spun so far. Maybe a 2-ply is going to be enough then, if it's worsted. All my other spins have been like sport, DK, I'll use a 2-ply more than I would a 3-ply. If I want to knit all of these together, definitely the bulky weight would be a no. And I never really knit with bulky, so I think even though my intuition says to go for this one, I just don't really know what I would use it in. I think we're just gonna stick with the 2-ply. It'll mean that I can use it with my swatches right there that are on my mood board for something. Yeah, we're just gonna 2-ply it, even though this is insane. Insane. So a little update on my spin, but first I am battling a little bit of a cold right now. It finally got to me. I tried so hard not to get it, but I do apologize for my voice. Yesterday, my throat was hurting so badly. Today it seems to be all up in here, which is super fun. I did want to show you guys my spin because I finished the first half, the 50 grams, in one day. The spin was beautiful. I absolutely loved it, and I just love the color of the wool. I love everything about it. It's a little bit on the rougher side, so I am assuming that with the ply, once it's plied and washed, it'll kind of soften up a little bit, as these yarns tend to be. So I think it's just a little bit rougher because of the frizz. The wool just has a natural frizz to it, and it's not like a straight hair. It's like a pretty curly, crimpy hair. This right here is probably one of my favorite spins of the fiber study so far. And I know I keep saying that, but I did see a quote, or I heard a quote a while back. Now, if you know what exactly it is or who said it, let me know in the comment section down below because I completely forget. But it was something along the lines of, your last spin is always going to be your favorite spin, because it is the one where you've had the most skills. So basically every time you spin, you become a better spinner. So it just makes sense that every new spin is gonna be your brand new favorite spin because you're just better than you were before you started it. So I feel like this is what kind of is happening with this fiber study, where I keep saying, this is my favorite spin. This one is beautiful. If you haven't tried Rideau Arcott, I highly recommend you look for it. I know that it is a lesser known breed. It is truly a beautiful one, and I can't wait to finish the next 50 grams so then we can see it plied up. But so far, this was just one day of spin. Because I have a cold and I can't really go out and see anybody, the only thing I can do is stay home and spin. So hopefully I can get through this after work during the week and show you guys the finished yarn by the end of the weekend. That would be great. So that is where I'm at with my week and my spin. How are you doing? Do you also have a cold? I feel like so many people around me right now currently have a cold, which is why I got sick. It's just, that time of the season. But if you are, take care of yourself, drink lots of water, have some warm tea, and hopefully we'll all be better soon. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go back to spinning. I am almost done this spin. I think I'm probably in the last, let's see. Okay, I'm like in the last meter, maybe 2 meters of roving, really not much for the second bobbin. I did spin half this bobbin yesterday after work, and right now I'm just spinning up the second half, and then I can ply them together. I'm super curious to see what it's gonna look like. What I hope is to finish this tonight, ply it. The spin, again, I'm gonna say it, it has been, even if I'm sick, my favorite one. Just finished spinning the second 50 grams. This is what they look like. The lighting right now is not doing this justice at all because this is such a stunning brown. But the reality is I'm too impatient and I kind of wanted to ply them tonight. So I'll show you guys the finished yarn at the end. I've kind of completely given up on letting my singles rest recently, ever since Tour de Fleece actually, because that was such a quick like turnaround. I just stopped letting the yarn rest before plying it, and I haven't had any issues with my yarn whatsoever. So I'm not even sure, I don't know, I just kind of stopped doing it ever since then, and I'm just very impatient. I just want to see what the yarn looks like. This spin has probably been the most interesting one in the whole Breed of the Month fiber study. I don't even know like what to say. I am truly amazed at the yarn I was able to create. It's even more insane. I think, yes, this might be my most favorite spin so far and just blew me away. So I'm just gonna show you guys. This is the skein. This is what I was able to create. It's a monster, it's huge. And this is, again, remember, I didn't even do the 3-ply, I just did a 2-ply, and I'm kind of glad now because the 3-ply of this would have been even more insane. You can kind of also see in the wool the little lighter gray like white fluffs. They're just a little bit curlier hairs, very curly, very crimpy, and they kind of just stick out just a little bit, but it also makes it look like a little bit more of a textured. It's not just like a one-tone very dark wool. So this right here is 200 wraps, and on my Nitty Naughty, one wrap is 1.5 meters. So this is about 300 meters of wool. This is definitely my thickest spin, and it is my longest spin, or one of the longest. This yarn is just so full of air. I did do long draw, and as you guys saw, I did draft it, pre-draft it just a little bit to like space it out and open it up a little bit more than I usually do. Normally in the past, for this pencil top roving, I'll just spin directly from it and I'll like space it out as I'm drafting. But this time I did take a little extra step. So I think all of that allowed, and the natural frizz of this wool allowed for this very thick, it's just air. It's kind of crazy. It dried in like half a day. So following the last months, I have also been knitting some swatches for the spin to get a better idea of what the yarn actually looks like and how it works up. This also helps me enormously with my spin. Knitting with it is just like I see where I'm over twisting, under twisting, and what I actually like to work with. So it's been very resourceful, and it makes good decorations as well. So this is my swatch for the Rideau Arcott. So I'm putting my hand behind it because if I remove it, it's like a little bit wholly of a swatch. I could have gone on smaller needles, but definitely like if this was to be an item of clothing, the 5.5 millimeters would work as well. It would just be a little bit airier and nicer and not such a dense, thick knit. And then the yarn is already so fluffy and airy. I just really wanted to see how far I could stretch it out. So definitely this is one of the thickest spins of the whole fiber study. And it kind of falls in line with, I think, the Romney was thicker. Now, one thing that is super interesting about all of these spins and this breed study is, for some reason, my 3 thickest spins, this was the Rambouillet, this was the Shetland, and the Rideau Arcott, have all been my colored wools, and then my thinnest spins are the white wools. Those are mainly fingering to sport. I think there's a couple of DKs in there. There are 2 plies and 3 plies, and then here, this one is a 2-ply, The Shetland was a 2-ply, and then the Rambouillet was a 3-ply. I really enjoyed this spin. Another thing that is really interesting about all of this is not only are these my thickest spins, but they are my more rustic spins. The white wools that are still on my wall, those ones are my softest spins so far. So it's very interesting to see how this is just lining up. Not to say that those wools don't have colored fleeces as well, they do, but just the breeds that I got in the breed of the month have been white wools, and then these were the only 3 that I got colored. I also love having all of my swatches slowly build up on the board for this breed study. It's just making it so much more exciting and kind of just making me curious now, what am I going to do with all this? Because again, these are starting to become completely different weights. They're all completely different types of swatches and just fabrics and textures. For this one, I also have 300 meters. I think the Shetland was 1 something, and then this one was 100. I think there were some that were 200 meters. Like, they're all different weights and gauges. So like, what am I gonna do with all of this? I'm gonna have to figure out something, because I do want to knit it, most of them together if I can. So if you're in Canada or have access to Rideau Arcott or Rideau Arcott, I highly recommend you grab some fiber and spin it up for yourself, see what this wool is all about, because this one truly surprised me. Even though it's a little bit on the rustic side, it's not itchy, it's just more like a woolly feel. This one again did not disappoint, and I really am glad that this was in the breed study. If you've made it all the way through to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this breed of the month fiber study, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!